I've been doing customer success for quite some time now, and more recently, I found a very deep interest in trying to solve for problems at scale. This is what brought me to Taboola. So you've seen us before, any of you who this morning consumed content on any of the premium websites online, scroll down, scroll down, you saw recommendations that are personalized to you. Now these recommendations, some of these recommendations are from the publisher, some of these recommendations are actually sponsored. And what this allows us to do is basically support journalism and digital content by allowing those publishers to monetize. It also allows us to have brands tell their stories in these premium websites, and it allows you, the consumers, to get content that's personalized to you. Some numbers about our scale: we reach about half of the world's internet and deliver about 500 million of these recommendations per month. So we're in the media business, but we also obviously also have a self-serve portal. So this is how advertisers engage with us. This is how they would, and I'm with the media side of the business, or the advertiser side of the business. And so this is where an advertiser would set up a campaign. Now, the thing that is a bit different to some of the businesses I think I've engaged with during the break is that the way our business model is auction-based. So rather than having a fixed subscription or a fixed fee, let's say Booking.com would like to engage with Taboola, and so would Expedia and Agoda. Each of them would bid for one of the placements in, say, Fox News. Naturally, the highest bidder would win and then get the placement. Now, at the end of the month, say Booking.com would look at all the campaigns they ran with Taboola, and they would look at how much they paid us, and they would look at what they got. So if I'm Booking.com, I'm trying to drive people to buy travel packages, and I would look at all these metrics. So our fee, as it were, or what we charge is very variable. What the customer gets is very, very clear, and the return on that investment, or at least one component, the cost of that acquisition, is also extremely visible. And this is really the part that I find most exciting and most challenging about operating a customer success organization in this space. So ROI is amazingly and painfully transparent. So if I'm thinking about traditional software businesses, like say a Salesforce or a CRM provider, the ROI to say AppsFlyer on Salesforce is not that straightforward. What would be, Ziv, what would happen tomorrow if I take Salesforce? You don't know how to quantify what would be the loss there, or it's harder for you to quantify. You will start talking about hours and multiply that by all sorts of assumptions. With media, it's dead transparent. I got you somebody that bought a travel deal for $1,000. You paid $70. The ROI is clear. The second thing is that we're in a constant state of evaluation. So much like the lovely spreadsheet that I showed you, a typical performance manager or campaign manager would basically look at the performance of each channel. So think about, in tandem, running SAP CRM and Salesforce CRM and constantly evaluating which is better. And the last piece of what makes this a hypersensitive environment to customer success, or to kind of use Lincoln's lingo, a no bullshit environment, is that there are no real barriers to entry or exit. So if I think about a solution like Salesforce, there is the cost of moving the data from one CRM to another. With other software providers, it might be a vendor software installed on the customer's properties. With media, you switch it on, you switch it off. If I look at the end of the month and Taboola is performing better than Facebook, boom, I transferred $100,000. And by the way, if we are not good, we might lose the entire thing. So customer success is extremely centric. So how do you make advertisers successful? In 2 easy steps. Step 1, you give them a great product. Everybody agrees? Yes. Thanks for the engagement. So one way to think about it is if we think about a customer or an advertiser's needs as one sphere, and the available functionality we have as another sphere. And what would be this, the intersect? What they actually do is close. Sorry. So this is the value proposition. This is the potential, right? If I'm an advertiser, if I'm booking.com, and what I'm trying to do is hit all sorts of people with specific, say, ad units. I have only, I only hit them with video. And let's say Taboola doesn't have video, then that doesn't hit me. But if Taboola also has a display placement or any kind of other functionality, then that goes here. So this is the potential of what we can generate for the customer. So at Taboola, we move at breakneck speed as many other software companies, and we deliver a lot of products, and some of them are actually great. And this is going to be the core of my presentation in a minute. But so we have this one sphere, really, really great, and we have lots more potential, but are we actually capturing it? And this is really the core of what I'm trying to get at. In order to capture the customer value or the performance in a really ROI oriented environment, you also need to give amazing service that empowers those customers to leverage the software you've delivered. And the people who typically do that are customer success managers. And these people have a lot of challenges. So I think the first challenge that, who's a customer success manager in the room? Show of hands? Everybody. Oh, lovely. Okay. So I think, from my experience at least, customer success is an exceptionally diversified role. And that in the combination with having a lot of customers typically creates for a very difficult prioritization process. So as sales, as customer success leaders or business operations leaders, we need to help them prioritize or create the focus that we want to drive to the point before to expand on value. Who here works for a company that has customer success managers in more than one office? Great. So the core of this presentation, and in a minute I'm going to get very tactical, is about tackling the challenge of scale. How do we get to the point where we deliver amazing service that enables advertisers to capture the value the potential value we created, when we have constantly growing teams in many locations, working cross-culturally, and so on. And finally, it's a two-edged sword, right? So we have, or I think Yossi said, a chain is as strong as the weakest link, right? So if we deliver a lot of products, but we don't have a great service, then we won't capture the value. So I guess actually the challenge for a customer success manager in that situation is, how do I stay on top of my product? How do I consistently maintain myself as a specialist, as an absolute authority on how our product works and how our industry operates? Okay, so a little timeout. Pardon the green, slightly blinding thing. How many, maybe show of hands, who works for a company that shipped more than 5 major changes to their product in the past year? Great. So of you, which works again at a company that has more than people at more than one office? Great. You, sir, what's your name? Tamir, from Panaya. No shit. So tell me, Tamir, what is the latest feature you ship to customers? Amazing. And how did you get your team to be informed about this feature? So you train your team. Can you tell me a bit of, like, how many training hours would you say you had your team take? 30 hours on this new feature. Anybody else has? Yeah. Okay. So this is unprecedented. In the 200 feature per year world, I find that the typical practice is to have something like this. So we have Wei sitting in Beijing, and he's trying to learn about this new feature. So it's going to be, in a good case, a 30-minute call with a product manager from Israel, working closely with product. So neither of these people are actually engaging in their first language. On this call, which is a video conference call, there are 100 other people, possibly. And now, the next day, Wei gets a call from his customer, and let's say we talked about this amazing pixel lookalike audiences feature, and his customer says, hey, I heard about this feature, I saw some PR, I want to get going. How big should my seed audience be to start using it? Now, if you remember, this guy has 100 other customers, lots of escalations, to Yoni's point, and many other things to deal with. So he may have not caught the the specific detail that he needs to have at that point in time, and that's going to create some challenges with their relationship. And that's really the pain that I want to talk to you about today. So I think and by the way, what I just described is somewhat, I'd say, in the 90th percentile of companies that actually invest the time. I've been in situations where my customers told me about a new feature that product marketed. Anybody here had that happen to them? Great. So it's quite a pain. And so I wanted to try something new. And what we're trying to do at Taboola is basically have a team that is an embedded, dedicated talent that has street cred. So essentially, and I'll show you these people in a minute, I took the top 9 account managers in Taboola, took their books off, and what they do 100% of the time is help their teammates stay on top of their product and industry practices. I paired them with product managers. So basically, each product manager in Taboola has a person in each of our 3 major business hubs they can reach out to, and these are dedicated people. This is not me doing you a favor or anything of that variety. And these people own all internal training. Here they are, this bunch of clowns. And what they do, and this is where we're getting very tactical, is that they essentially do these 3 things. VIP. They validate, so they are the point person from a business perspective for all beta programs, confirming that what we are delivering to the field, what we're trying to deliver to our customers, is actually what the customers need in the way they need it. And I can tell you that there were beta programs that recently our business response was, this is not ready. You need to change this, this, and that. Now, if a PM, if a product manager hears we're not ready, that's one thing. But if he hears we're not ready, and if you change this, this, and that, then the market will be more receptive, then we actually make progress. So the second thing they do is they actually introduce products. So let's say we got the product past the beta phase, and we're now ready to roll it out to general availability. So these people would create dedicated training sessions, dedicated pitching practices, objection handling, and all of that. And finally, they promote. So for those features that are actually strategic to the company to have advertisers adopt, they would create initiatives and drive initiatives to enable that. Happy to elaborate on that maybe later. So this is what our Q1 VIP deck looked like. So we had beta programs. So I think something that's super important for in product field communication is like with any customer engagement, setting expectations. So at the beginning of the quarter, we tell the field, this is what's coming down. These are beta programs, so those are optional. Not every account manager or customer success manager needs to participate, but if you have customers that express some interest, maybe they'd be a good fit. We are going to train you on these new things. They are coming out. Everybody needs to know that, okay? And this is strategic, right? So if you want people to deploy our pixel or do more retargeting, we are going to drive focus towards that. And really the next step towards that is creating a certification program. So next quarter, we're actually going to roll out our first certification program that is owned by this team around audience targeting. And so that will essentially help us know who knows what. And I think that's also a huge pain. In your organization, do you have any kind of measure for what account managers or customer success managers know in terms of the product and how stale that data is? So yeah, so things that I'd like you to take away, and I think that pretty much wraps up my time. we need to deliver great product at great pace, but that's not enough. We need CSMs. Systems are an incredibly fragmented role, and if we want them to actually get around to do use case expansion, we need to create focus, which I think Shachar is going to talk about measurement soon, so I kind of left that piece out, but we also need to create enablement. And the final thing is that for distributed team of field operations, so if I'm talking about customer success managers, and the centralized team of PMs need to have some form of a bridge. And this bridge needs to be reliable. That's it.
Thank you very much, Chen.